I am not a creature of social media. I am not a creature of media. I do media because it's the best way that we can attach the Word of God to news items and try to help people begin to see things through a kingdom view. When we do this, and I admit that I am not a creature of media, understand that when I tell you this, I literally have no idea what movies are playing right now. I don't know what's in the theaters. I don't know who's on tour. Unless you tell me there's a new TV show, I won't know. I don't know who's doing well in NFL football. I know that the Washington State Cougars are doing well in football this year because of emotional attachment to them. Aside from that, I don't know how anybody's doing. I don't know win-loss records of that. I sometimes am surprised to learn that the World Series is going on because I don't know. Last year, I said, oh my gosh, it's the Super Bowl. So I am totally unplugged. So when I was doing show research, which is where I use social media to look at cultural trends, et cetera, to research, to read, I came across this movement where women are posting things like this. Men, what are you doing about the other men saying things like, your body, my choice? What will you do when you see it? Will you call it out? Will you confront it? Will you stop your best friend from saying it? Will you stop being friends with them? Don't be passive in this. Don't laugh it off. Don't excuse it as a joke. It's not a joke. It's a threat. I saw this and then began to see TikTok responses and Twitter responses to this and wanted to talk about it because some of the responses are insane, like telling wives to poison their husbands. So we're sitting down to talk about this and record this, and then my producer, Alex, says, yeah, you know what? Nick Fuentes' voice in this really bothered me. Wait, that's Nick Fuentes? Yeah, that's Nick Fuentes. So if you don't know who Nick Fuentes is, I love you dearly. I only know what's said about Nick Fuentes, and what's said about him is not good stuff. But apparently Nick Fuentes decided to go out and say, to women, your body, my choice. My response to that is, your body, my choice, Nick. We can do that both ways. If that's the standard you'd like to set, and you decide to be abusive to women that way, there's plenty of men, and maybe I'm one of them, maybe I'm not, who could decide to be abusive to you. Now, I am pro-life, but I am also pro-kindness. And I am pro-woman just as much as I am pro-man because I am pro-Jesus. And God views us as his masterpieces, made in his image. So if pushed, say, for instance, by a guy like Nick Fuentes choosing cruelty, I could return it with cruelty. I choose not to. And I don't want to pretend to know his game because I don't care. What I care about is the fact that women are being driven to the point of making videos like the ones you're about to see. And that's not great news. There is a change in the news atmosphere right now, of course, because President Trump has won the election. He is filling his cabinet with people that just destroy the psyche of Washington, D.C. It's going to be so fascinating to see what he does to the financial system and the things he recommends. He's already recommending a cap of 10% on credit card interest rates, which could help people, but would also tighten the credit market to a degree that you might have your credit cards canceled. I mean, you might not have the credit rating necessary to support that credit card at 10% because the banks will tighten down. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens in a Trump environment. So my friend Zach Abraham, the Chief Investment Officer of Bulwark Capital Management, is doing one of his free live webinars. It's the first one after the election. So it's the first time that Zach knows who's going to be in office, the cabinet positions, et cetera, and he can inform us as to what he sees happening in the financial system. He can't predict the future, but he can predict trends, and he's been very good at this. He's also in this free live webinar going to answer questions. He'll talk about how Bulwark Capital Management has done versus the market. He'll talk about the risk management approach and what it means to manage, actively manage every single portfolio, which can reduce risk and volatility. This will also be the last free live webinar of the year. So if you're 5, 10, even 15 years from retirement, it's super important that you attend this and make sure that you have the knowledge which is potential power to turn into power, or maybe just to give power to Zach to be your fiduciary. It's knowyourriskradio.com is where you register. It's coming up Thursday, the 21st at 3:30 Pacific, this free live webinar, knowyourriskradio.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. Any references to performance of securities are thought to be materially accurate, and actual performance may differ. Investments involve risk and are not guaranteed. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Trek 24308.
When you push people to a certain point, most people have a point at which they push back. Most people, I mean, that's why Kenny Rogers existed. Kenny Rogers was born to tell us about the coward of the county. And how many Western movies contain the hero who put the guns away? Bob Dylan wrote a song about putting the six shooters away. How many songs are written about that? How many movies have made about that? The reluctant hero who does not want to get into the battle. Remember the movie The Patriot with Mel Gibson? Mel Gibson didn't want any of that. And towards the end of that movie, ain't nobody wanted a piece of Mel Gibson. Did the same thing with Braveheart. That Sir William Wallace did not want a piece of that war. He wanted to be left alone. And there's that whole saying of, you know you're in trouble when you get the people who just want to be left alone coming at you. Then you know you're in trouble. When the big, huge, quiet giant in the bar finally stands up and says, enough, you're in trouble. We are going to witness some of this in the Trump administration, that Trump has been pushed into a corner. I, in my judgment, allowed people to try to kill him. They've tried to imprison him. They've tried to destroy his family. They spoke unspeakable lies about him being a Russian troll, etc. You're going to watch, to some degree, President Trump, who has been to some degree radicalized. If you would like to see more women radicalized, given PTSD, psychologically and spiritually harmed, play this stupid game that Nick Fuentes has played. And go out and say, your body, my choice. It has led to things like this, women on TikTok making a suggestion as to what you can do in case your husband voted for President Trump.
Never gonna happen, sweetie. Your body, our choice.
So this is a woman who is mixing up some poison. Guya Tofana, responsible for creating a poison that you could put into people's drinks, put into your husband's wine or tea. Women disguise it as cosmetics. And doctors were unable to determine the cause of death. So women are bringing this back and providing the recipe on how to get this done. Here she is. Aqua Tofana.
Am I right? Aqua Tofana. If you know, you know.
Aqua Tofana, your body, my choice. And here's a lady mixing up some Aqua Tofana to put in her husband's drink. I've got a lot of girls. Let's go do this. Aqua Tofana, Aqua Tofana. And that is a separate woman. Here's another woman who's suggesting the same thing. Poison rings. You could kill your husband with a poison ring. My advice for American women, I know you'll understand this. They asked for it. A poison ring. If you would like to see more of that, do the stupid thing Nick Fuentes did. And look at Nick winning the game. Guy who's never spoken his name before is speaking his name. And Nick, if you know, you'll know. I can't speak for Jesus. I can consult his word. And I can tell you, truly, Nick, you may have had your reward.